about slap chops and this and that and the other and buns of steel and none of this. It is commercial free. The only commercials you will see are commercials about Islam. So that when someone turns on the channel, whether it is a non-Muslim or whoever they're flipping through, they see it, it will always be authentic content about Islam. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, brother.
Brother, can I ask how you managed to do that? How you managed to make it commercial free?
How we managed to make it commercial free, we're going to get to that, inshallah. But I'm going to say that in just one moment. But yeah, it's always going to be authentic information about Islam so that no one ever turns it on and sees something and then just goes away. When we said that when we called the satellite company and we're working with them, wrangling with them, they asked us, okay, how much are you going to charge for a subscription? We said nothing. They laughed. Really. They're like, okay, how many commercials are you going to have throughout the day to pay for this? We said none. They said, okay, how many infomercials are you going to have throughout the week to pay for this? We said none. They said, okay, we want all the money up front. We want every single penny for the year up front. And they said the only way you're going to make this station happen is by either subscribing, by either having commercials or infomercials, or by having really deep pockets. And you don't have pockets deep enough. This is what they told us. So when we started, we said, okay, we told the Muslims of America, look, if we want this channel to happen, it's going to have to come from us. It's going to have to come from our voluntary support so that not only can it be free for you, and it can be free for other people. So we ask people to voluntarily subscribe, voluntary subscription, so that they can go and they donate or support a monthly basis so that they're paying, so that they can watch it, even though it's free. But they're also giving money so that somebody else can watch it for free. So this is how we've done it, and it's happened. Alhamdulillah. The support has been immense. We even have now, in the beginning we went to the Arab countries, we didn't really want to do anything, but we let them know about it. They said, we can't help you, but now that we're on the satellite, they're calling us like crazy. We're telling you it's too late. And the Muslims of America have already stepped in. So we're going to be, coming over to the UK, and we're going to ask the same thing for the Muslims who want to hear in the UK, then get behind them, support it with whatever you can. Even if it's £10 a month, £20 a month, it's nominal to you, but to us it makes a great, great deal. And if you guys want to watch it now, if you want to watch it now, can you pull it? If you want to watch it now, I'm going to be done with this whole commercial thing. If you want to watch it now, you can go to the website that you just saw, guideus.tv. There's a tab that says live. Click on that live tab. You click on the live tab, and you can watch it. We're broadcasting on the internet as well, live. Some programs are going to be live. We have live programs every single day. See, right now we're trying to do the TV, but you can always click on the live program. And we've had Peace TV give us all of their content. We've had Huda TV give us all of their content. I'm working with Brother Muhammad Ali from Islam Channel to get some of our content off. So we're media partnering with a lot of different groups so that we can have a plethora of content. Because that's the worst part about TV, is having more content to play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But inshallah, this is a monumental accomplishment in the United States of America. And I'm going to have some Guide US TV shirts for you guys afterwards. I'll tell you how to get them, inshallah. All right, enough about that. Let's get to the business of why we're here. Dawah training. I've done this Dawah course all throughout the world. And there's a specific reason that I do it. Now, there's probably a specific reason that you've come personally to take this course. But I want to give you my reasonings for doing it. And the only reason the way I can sum it up the best is from the statement of one of the ulama of our time. There was a book that was written called The Islamic Awakening, which some of you may have heard of. It's published by Hidayah Publications right here in the UK, called Sirqa Islamiyya, The Islamic Awakening by Shaykh Uthaymeen, rahimahullah ta'ala. When he was asked why did he write this book, he said, the reason I am writing this book is because I see the du'at of the world, especially the youth, having a lot of zeal for spreading the message of Islam. They have a lot of energy, they have a lot of compassion, they have a lot of passion for spreading the message of Islam in the world. He said, but the problem is that they lack the training. They lack the fundamental principles behind Dawah. So therefore, when they go about giving this message of Islam, they make a lot of mistakes. They make a lot of mistakes. in their minhaj of giving the message of Islam. He said, so I have written this book, and this is one of my greatest recommended readings for Dawah, is the Islamic Awakening. He said, so I wrote this book to give the Muslims and the du'at a foundation and a guideline of principles about giving the call to Islam. So this is why I do this course, is so that you, inshallah ta'ala, which it's not going to be comprehensive. If you want a comprehensive course on Dawah from me, I would have to move here for at least a year. It's going to take that minimum. But we are going to try to go a concise overview of the foundational principles of calling to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that by the time you leave here tonight, inshallah, you will at least know what it is you're doing the next time you say you're going to give da'wah. Okay, you'll know what I'm doing. I know why I need to do this. I know what it is that I'm doing, and I know how to do it. So that's what we're going to go through, inshallah ta'ala. So you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and how to do it. Does that make sense? Okay. So, it's called calling to the way, our obligation and purpose. Now, what we're going to discuss today, inshallah, is 3 categories. We're going to go through 3 categories. Now, I'm hoping to possibly come back at some point because this Dawah workshop is 5 parts. And each part is about 8 to 10 hours. We're going to compress that today to make it by 6. So hopefully I will come back and be able to go through the other 2 parts, which the other 2 parts are more intensive, training, which we'll get to in the evening. And if you want me to come back, then we'll take a poll and we'll try to, twist these brothers on to make sure I come back, inshallah. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is what is Dawah. And this may seem simple, but I'm hoping that you're going to realize how much we miss, even in its simplicity. Number 2, we're going to talk about to whom and what are we calling. To whom and to what are we calling. And number 3, we're going to talk about the attributes of the da'i, sifatul da'i, wa sifatul mud'i, and the attributes of the one that is called. And we will talk about minhaj al-da'wah and the methodology or the way to go about giving the da'wah in a correct manner. One of my good friends summed it up very well, whom you all know, I'm sure, Brother Abdurrahim Green. He said that Islam is such a beautiful message. He said, but no one will eat $1,000 dinner off of the trash bin lid. He said, Islam is such a beautiful message, but no one will eat $1,000 meal, even if you're given the greatest of meals, the best meal you can ever think of, and someone were to set it on a trash bin lid and serve it to you, you're going to be like, I'm not eating this. And this is unfortunately what has happened to the message of Islam when it comes to Dawah. We have a beautiful message, but it is kind of tarnished in the way that we deliver it. So this is why we are here today, inshallah. Now I want to ask you guys a question. What is that? To you, I want to hear your feedback. I'm not going to talk for 8 hours or the tour will be done today. My voice will be finished. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions because I want to provoke your thoughts because this is in no way everything that we're going to need. I have compiled this course over the past 8 years and it is always changing. So I'm getting a lot of feedback from people that interjects into the course. What is Dawah to you? What is that? I want to hear at least one brother and one sister. What is that? Yes, brother.
Is it inviting people to the way of Islam?
Inviting people to the way of Islam. Anybody? Careful with those hands. Sister? Your sister wants to tell me what she thinks Dawah is. So I'm just going to pick one. So who wants to call it?
Muslims and non-Muslims alike.
Muslims and non-Muslims alike. We'll get to that as well. So any sister? What do you think Dawah is? An invitation to Tawheed. So we have an invitation to Islam, calling non-Muslims and Muslims alike, and an invitation to Tawheed. Now, when we talk about the word Da'wah linguistically, there are words that existed in the Arabic language before the prophethood of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Arabs all knew these words, and these words were given a different tint or meaning by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and by Allah Azza wa Jalla through the Quran and the Sunnah. Da'wah was a word known amongst the Arabs. And da'wah coming from the root word, what is the root word of da'wah? You Arab students? Da'wah, which means to call or to invite, right? So da'wah means a call or an invitation. A call or an invitation to something. Something could be anything. Da'wah could mean, you gave me da'wah to come here. This was a form of da'wah. You invited me to come here. Now, being the linguistic meaning of the word, can you give da'wah to something wrong? Can you give da'wah to kufr? Yes. There's a lot of people giving da'wah to kufr, for sure. Can you give da'wah to shirk? Yes, you can. You can give da'wah to many, many wrong things. But when we think of da'wah Islamically, I need you to write this definition down, because this definition will define everything else. And even if you remember nothing I said, if you remember this definition, this will be a guiding principle for you in everything that you do in da'wah. Da'wah is a call or an invitation to Tawheed in Allah and in Islam with all of its principles. So both of you were right, but we have to put it in its proper perspective. Da'wah is an invitation, and I'm going to put emphasis on two words. Da'wah is an invitation to Tawheed, first emphasis, Tawheed, in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal, and into Islam in all of its principles. The second emphasis being all. Into Islam in all of its principles. So now when you go about doing da'wah, if you're going to have a da'wah campaign or a da'wah table or a da'wah booth or a da'wah event, or you're going to do direct da'wah or indirect da'wah, you always now have to ask yourself, does it fit in with this definition? Is this da'wah I'm doing, is it an invitation to Tawheed and Allah and in Islam and all of its principles? If it is not fit in this definition, then it is not da'wah. You may be disseminating information about some of Islam, but you are not doing da'wah. You're not doing da'wah in its fullness of its meaning. The fullness of its meaning is to call to Tawheed of Allah and Islam and all of its principles. And this is what we're going to underscore, and you're going to see that all of the things we talk about are going to revolve around these principles. Inshallah. Inshallah. Now the second question. Is da'wah, calling to Tawheed and Allah and Islam and all of its principles, is it something that is good to do? Is it something that should be done like a hobby? It's a good hobby to get involved in, or a good trade, or a good business to be in? Or is it an obligation? What do you think? Out of the three. Obligation? How many of you believe it's an obligation? MashaAllah. Now, obligation to what extent? Obligation to what extent? Because we have different obligations in Islam, and they have different levels of extent.
If somebody from the Ummah does it, then...
Fard kifaya means if there's enough people doing it, everybody else can go on about their business. There's enough people doing it, everybody else can go about their business. Good, we're going to get to that. Now, I want to show you in the next few slides how serious the obligation to call to Tawheed and Allah and Islam and all of its principles is. Because if I don't submit these beginning foundation principles in your mind, you're not really going to concept the rest of it properly. You have to really grasp this in your mind. Allah very clearly says in His book, and this is a famous, and let me tell you something about everything you're going to hear today is probably things that you've heard all of your life. You're probably not going to hear anything new. The only difference that I like to put into perspective, and I do this with a lot of courses that I teach, like psychology of the Muslim, psychology of the believer, psychology of the disbeliever, etc., is how many of you have heard of connect the dots? Any of you heard connect the dots? You guys have connect the dots here in the UK? When you're a kid, you have this little picture that's a bunch of dots. You know what I'm talking about now, right? And they're numbered, and you got to go in a certain order. Now, if you don't connect the dots properly, what happens? The picture doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. And without connecting the dots, you might kind of have an inkling of what it means, but you don't really fully concept the whole picture until